All right, now that we're done the UV side of things, we're going to move into working on bringing our model to a high poly. So, first things first is I'm going to duplicate our group here, and I'm just going to call this the high poly mech. GRP, and I'm going to select the right leg and the right arm for my custom because I don't need them since I am only doing the textures for the left side. So we're going to go up here as well to modify, search and replace, and I'm going to do underscore low for underscore high with only the selected to replace them. And I might even also technically quickly add the word underscore low for the mech there. That way it's ready. I'm going to control 1 so that I only have this, but actually I'm just going to grab my low poly. Instead, control 1, I'm going to add it to a display layer, and I am going to call this poly DL and save. So that way I can now hit the V key here to turn off the low poly, and I have all these pieces here. So now I need to go around adding control edges to my things so that we can subdivide this up. Now, as a good example, I'm going to give you a quick example, right? Subdivision is like when I hit 3 here, we have the smooth mesh preview. You see how this cube just literally crushes, like basically shrinks in on itself, right? So when you smooth it, it interpolates where it would be based off of it, trying to figure out with the calculations to bring everything in, right? So if I were to divide up my cube a little more, right? So Control Shift X to use the multi-cut. I'm going to add some cuts here, hold 3 just like that, right? I'm going to grab another one here, right? Put him like that. For this guy, I am going to use the bevel, but I'm going to turn off the chamfer mode. And then I'm going to shrink that there. And then also divide it up nice and evenly so that it's nice and divided a little nicer, right? So you'll see it's starting to slowly hold its shape a little better, right? So if I were to, again, come back over here, grab this guy again, right? Actually, I'll just edit this one, right? If I go to edges really quick, grab these and start dragging this closer, see how it's starting to get a more sharper edge. Same goes for here. These are more so-called holding edges that you would have. Now, in sub-D modeling, which is what this would be allowed, you'd want to be more so in quads so that this way that these things will divide up evenly, especially if you were to bring this to a... Oh, I went a little too far on some of these, but which is why you saw that it was looking weird and wonky, right? You want to make sure that you have more even topology, especially if you were to be bringing this to a sculpting program, or if you wanted to displace something, right? So displacements where you actually give the illusion or use your height maps to displace the model to actually represent that actual information, right? But we are going to be dividing up our mesh here, or adding control edges and then smoothing it so that way we have our high poly, and then adding in floating geometry, or you can also add in extra details depending on how you wanted to smooth things. So in our case, right, let's start with the most easiest piece, right? I could use the multi-cut tool, but with the attribute editor, I can also use the bevel tool now, right? So bevel would usually bevel every single edge you have, but you can actually go over here in the attribute editor, and I need to find, first off, I'm going to turn off the chamfer. Then I'm going to shrink that down here, but there we go. refreshing it, I need to find the bevel and look for the hard edge option, right? So doing the hard edge option, notice how now all of a sudden my thing conforms a lot better to the hard edges on my model, especially since by the looks of it, I'm missing one. Right, so if I go back here, yeah. Oh, I see. Right, so this is where I would want to probably harden this edge really quick, because I want it to hold that shape too. That makes me question the UVs really quickly. Oh, I did separate it, so I don't know why it wasn't a hard edge. But we'll hop back over here. All right, so doing the bevel by itself, right, you can see that I've got these soft edges here and there, especially if I turn off the chamfer mode, but that is kind of partially what I want, but I do want to stop it from beveling specific edges. I only want it to do the hard edges. You'll notice now this is no longer beveled over here, which is more ideally what I want. Now I'm going to do like 0.1 and see what it looks like when I hit 3. I might do 0.2 just to see, because ultimately, right, you don't want it to bevel too much on that, but this also needs to be divided up nice and evenly, especially if I were to bring this to like ZBrush or something as well, right? I'm going to hit Alt-5, or in fact, I'll turn it on default shading. That way we actually can see things properly. Adding those extra ones just didn't help us very much. Let's just go like this. Let's see here. 1, 2, 3. That will divide a lot better, especially for our high poly, right? I can use the bevel again this time. Again, I'm going to turn off the chamfer, right? Because I want it to make sure that when I turn off the chamfer, right, it's not rounding out the edges, but it also holds as a holding edge for when I actually do smooth this, right? So if I hit 0.2, I hit the Control A to hop back and forth really quick, or click on the bevel, then come back. There we are, bevel, and turn on the hard edge options. That way it only does the hard edges for me, and if I were to hit 3 really quick, just checking, make sure that that doesn't do anything weird. I'm actually quite happy with how this is kind of turning out. Oh, I see. So this is where to make sure something weird happened here, of course. Don't tell me I accidentally merged something. Just before I undo the bevel, I'm gonna undo. Here's the bevel options, and we undo till we do this. So if I hit 3, I hit double click this. Can I? Yeah. Okay, I can move it now. All right. All right. All right. But if I do the bevel, and then I go here, find the bevel, do just the hard edges and hit 3. Of course, it welds it to the side of the building. Because right now, if I double click this, right, it separates it. So I'm just going to go to edges. Yeah, you know what? We can go to faces and then hold the Q, see here. Shift. No. Control. Yeah. Control. Two edges to edges. And then this way now I can just do bevel this way. Then just do hard edges. And then turn off the chamfer. And then do it that way. And then I'll do the same for the other ones. So just shift double clicking these guys, holding control, right clicking, and then going to, oops, not two faces, two edges to edges. Do the bevel, make sure I turn it on hard edge only, and then also to turn off the chamfer. This will give us nice even topology, except for still getting that weird effect when I bevel this. Oh, but it's still at least separate now. Let's see here. That's fine. I'm just going to select the edges I want to bevel anyway. Just be faster. Not going to worry about the ones touching the model. Oops. And I could sit here using the multi-code if too as well. Oops, didn't mean to deselect. There we go. So, all right. Oh, my bad. Here, I'll put this back on. There we go. Now that we've got that there, undo, make sure I reselect these guys, bevel them, turn off the chamfer, decrease the fraction down to like 0.2. Holding control will make it a lot faster or a little slower for you, or you can also turn the speed down by clicking on this thing here, the circle, not the 3 dots. Right, and then just going to put it right around here. There we go. But the main thing is I will, no, I selected all the edges I needed anyway, so it doesn't really matter. There we go. And I just need to do these guys really fast, so we'll just do the, you know what, I'll just go edges. Since I don't want to do anything weird. There, that's perfectly fine. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There we go. And then I should, oh, I missed this one. Right. And then I'm just going to bevel these ones. Again, turning on not the hard edges because I've selected the individual ones. I'm just going to turn off chamfer, decrease it and see what it looks like when I hit 3. And then I see I also need to bevel this one down here. Bevel, turn off the chamfer. That way it'll, and then decrease the fraction to like 0.2. And I can see, oh, I am getting some weird artifacts here. So the main way to fix this would be adding extra edges around here. And I'm going to add one here just to do that. And this, that way when I hit 3, of course it's, oh, Did I not delete the inside faces? Or was that part of the... No, that wasn't part of that. Oh, I missed deleting the inside face there. So if I do that now, still does something weird, so it's perfectly fine. I now made that into this, so I can also control backspace this. Oops. Right, I'm just tidying up my mess that I made over here, because technically I'm also missing edges anyway. Oops. Well, I needed one that way anyway. There. Which is perfectly fine. Let's see here. To fix this, I'm just going to, again, quickly add in some lines here. That way I can move this one when I hit 3. I'm going to leave that line there if I hit 3. It's perfectly fine. I'm just going to keep adding some divisions so that way it'll also smooth nicely as well and won't interpolate in between each cuts as much. Missed one here. There we go. Keep just using my middle mouse to add in more divisions. This will give also a better bake anyway, because we'll also have more resolution to work with for the high poly. There we go. Especially if I wanted to go sculpt this guy. There we go. And if I turn that off, that still looks pretty nice. But the guy looks good. Gonna do one at a time. Quick bevel. I'll go to the bevel, turn on the hard edges. I'm just going to turn off the chamfer. Do 0.2. In fact, I might even just go over here to the 3 dotted lines and copy the attributes. That way I can come over here, Control B, click on the 3 lines, and hit paste. And it also copied over the hard edges, which is awesome. So that means I can now just go over to the next one, paste, and do the same. Control B, hit the 3 lines, and hit paste. And then I just have to come back with my multi-cut to actually add in some more edges to help divide up my mesh a little more. That way things will look a little nicer when I let's see here, a little hard to get, oops, on that side. Oops. 2, 3, there. Slowly but surely adding more edges so that it'll subdivide nicely. Yeah. 2, 3, 4. Let's see here. I'm just going to add some more here. Q. Up here. Just be careful you don't go too heavy on them all, right? You want to make sure they're more evenly split up as best as you possibly can. 1, 2, oops. 3, 1, 2, 3. Not going to touch the roundness. That way, when I hit 3, it will round out nicely. And then we'll just keep going. 1, 2, 3. At this point, right, we're also getting at a point where we can also start modeling or editing the actual high poly itself too, right? You can add, we're going to look at adding floaters in that as well. It's a floating geometry that'll give the idea that we have extra details as well. So, but being that it's already divided up nicely, you could also model things manually yourself, right? Depending on what you're looking for, right? So if one were to come back right before you do anything, right? In fact, I'm going to grab 1, 2, 3, Control 1. Actually, I'll do one at a time. Let's see here. I'm going to hit this. Oh, I'm going to make sure I take out this accidental edge that I added in. That way it'll smooth nicely. I'm going to grab these edges right here, because I'm also going to copy the effects. So let's just go B. I'm going to leave with the chamfer, but I am going to do like 0.25, right? So this is going to be, again, for the high poly, right? What I'm doing here is then, let's see, actually, going to type 0.25, and then I'm just going to go up here and copy. That way I can paste it myself, but I am going to select the first one, double click the next one. Yeah, shift select my oops. All right, try this again. Shift click first one, shift double click the second one. There we go. There we go. Shift click first, shift double click, Control E. I'm just going to do a offset of 0.1. No, we'll do 0.5. There we go. And then I'm going to also increase the not the thickness. I'll decrease the thickness to like negative 0.2. There we go. Just like that. That way when I hit 3, get something like this. Let's see here. 0.2, yeah, 0.5. And if I hit 3, it'll look something like that. No, actually, I can go back here, look for the extrude. Let's see here. Or I can hit T, bring it back up. Let's see here. I'd want -1. There we go. Let's do 1 for the offset as well. That way it's a little more defined. That's perfectly fine for me. In fact, that's what I'm going to do for the other ones as well. I'm going to delete my history as well. Makes sense. And then quickly come back here, go to edges, grab these guys, Control B, and then I'm going to paste the attributes that I had. Come on. And paste, right? That way I get the bevel I want. Go to faces. Grab this one, and Control E. And then I went with -1 and 1. So -1. There we go. And technically I could also come in here now. No, I'm going to finish doing that. If I wanted to make it a little more harder, I could also, because we are smoothing this, right? So if I were to grab like these edges here, I could also bevel those, but I'm going to leave it as this, right? Since we are just smoothing it. Do the same for this one. Bevel. And then I'll paste in my attributes. Go to faces. Grab my faces here. Control E, -1 on the thickness and 1 in the offset. That way it gives a nice little effect. There we go. Nice. All right. I'm going to save at this point. Now, to do floating geometry, right, we can start off by, as long as you actually have a good piece to kind of start off with. In our case, if I were to start off with a plane, and by default it has way too many divisions, but I'm also going to do 0.2. Nope, we'll do 1 by 0.2, and then for the height, come on, right, 0.2, and then I only want for the height it would be 2. No, I'm going to do 4. It's not very square-like, but it is more likely what I want anyway. So, what I'm going to do is go to Faces, and select everything except for the outside. I'm going to Shift pull it in like this, shrink it down like this, pull it back like that, and we'll go a little deeper, but not much. Right, so now what I'm going to do is mesh, display, soften, harden, right? That way I get some different ones, and I'm going to use my shortcut. Again, that's under display, polygons, soften, harden edges, that way you can see them. And then I'm just going to bevel, and this bevel we will find right here, turn on to hard edges, turn off the chamfer that way. And of course, some edges worked and some of them didn't, of course. So what I can do is just go to vertexes, see what happens when I hit 3. Technically I should do more, so like, no, that's not right. I'm gonna undo. Bevel. And if I did hard edges, turn off the chamfer. There we go. Let's see here. Do something like this, but I have to fix a few things. Start off with this. Of course it does. So let's see here. That's fine. Technically the fastest fixed would be going right here, but yeah. You know what? Before I even bevel, let me just, I'm going to divide this up one more, just like that. There we go. Bevel. Bevel, and again, turn off chamfer, go over to the bevel in the attribute editor, turn on hard edges only, and now I can easily add that guy up there, fix this one here, and we can get rid of these edges here. And if I hit 3, that will smooth out a lot better. Because I have it on object, I can also mirror it with the opposite way. There we go. That way it looks nice. And we've got ourselves a vent piece. Great. All right. So it's already a little too big, but that's still perfectly fine because this is just going to be a piece of floating geometry that I'm literally going to use my side view here. I pop it up here like this, I can shrink it down, or actually before I shrink it down, let's delete its history, freeze its transforms. I'm going to grab a copy of it, that way I can do this, go to wireframe, I've still got to do my custom model, but I won't do that inside the, I won't do that while I'm commentating for the high poly part of that. Let's see here, best I can to get it just on top of my legs there. Now, obviously I need to, I can also hold V to snap it, to get it to snap to things, but that wasn't ideally where I wanted it. I want to make sure that it's just above the actual thing, while also trying to make sure it is as flat as possible when I do this, right? Which actually this looks pretty good. I can then shift copy out this here, and then I can place that around like that, right? And then I would have vents. Now I'm going to grab these 3, shuffle it up some, while also just leaving them slightly above, right? Now the main idea here is when I look above here, right, you can see the vent-like system, right? Now I'm going to grab these 3, and I'm going to combine them, right? And then delete their history, because this will work out nicely now, because now I can shift duplicate this back like this. Potentially I should be able to hold J, rotate it 180, and oops, control Y, get this as close as possible to there. Once I'm done, I'm going to be combining them as well, because if I don't, they won't get picked up by the objects. Well, unless I don't use bake by mesh name, which then we might get a better, different result. So it all depends on how we do our baking. That would be the one way of not having to. Then I'll use my side view, shift 4 here. We can make it bigger temporarily. Move it over. Holding J, I will rotate them. Get them close to the space. Go to spacebar again. I want the top view really quickly. Leave it this one. And then I can see that I need to shuffle them up, right? You can model any sort of detail for your mech, right? For high poly, or you can leave it to Substance Painter and do it like you did for the panels back in the tiling and texturing module. But once you guys are happy with your floaters, right? This is where I'm going to Let's see here. Well, I'm going to grab this foot. I'm going to temporarily take it out of the group. Well, actually, I'm going to just copy its name, right? Because I need to now come back in here. And then once I'm done with all selection, I can then combine them into one mesh. I'm going to delete their history and then rename this to the foot high. So for simplicity's sake, I'm going to hit W and hit D and then snap my pivot point back to the, oops, no, I don't want to rotate it. I just want to make sure it's on the center just so that it'll be nice and ready. And then if I hit 3, we can also see what it looks like with smooth mesh preview. And that will be ideal, right? There we go. I'm also going to grab my foot, make sure I, again, copy its naming convention so I don't have to re-type it out. We will combine these guys as well. Delete their history. And paste. And then I'm going to put them back into here. I forgot to also come back, tap D, holding V. Just going to snap this back and up. That way, for whatever reason, if I need to, I can always play around with it, right? So from here, right, I can duplicate this thing. I can bring it up here. Shrink it down some. Rotate it. Let's see here. Actually, I'm going to shrink it some more. Then I'm going to this way. Let's see here. I'd be careful of that top one. In fact, I'm only going to do 2 just to ensure that I don't get any weird artifacts on my other thing there. So just like this, right? I can see I probably need to rotate them. Oops. Actually, I'm going to delete one. Rotate this camera base wise just to try to get it a little better. Right. There. Even now, shift drag this guy up. Rotate it with the camera base to go like this. Say that we have that one there, and there. I can then go like that too, right there like that. And shove a little more forward. All right, just like that, right? And then, you know, I'm gonna do some panels in that inside Substance Painter themselves. I find very similar to how we did it for the panels for the modular props. But you can add as many details as you like, depending what you're aiming for, right? I can even like duplicate this one, drag it back here, right? I like to use my all my perspective views, shrink it down. let's see here. I'll pull this over here. And by, let's see here, Control D and pull it out like this. Let's see, I'm going to put going up a little. And depending on how you look at it, yeah, no, that one's not looking too great. I'm just going to do that in Substance Painter instead of trying to rotate it. Sometimes you have to get the angle very, very right. Otherwise, it might look funny when you do it. You also have to be careful because you're going to need to change a few settings for ambient occlusion as well. So in my case, I'll do those details inside Substance, right? So I'm going to grab these guys, make sure I grab the head name before I do anything. I'm going to just combine these guys and delete its history. Delete history, paste, and then drag and drop that back into my high group. Make sure I put that there. I'm just going to quickly also to chamfer off. And then I'm going to copy this. And then we will bevel this guy. Paste the attributes. I'm going to have to check how this thing works out, but sure. Yeah, I'm gonna have to come in here and fix a few things before I do the bevel. I'm going to add in some extra divisions. That way it'll make it easier for me. Oops. Let's see. One more here. Put one in the middle of that. Oops, I have one too many here. All right. This way, when I do bevel it, I can come back and fix some of the more problematic pieces, right? So bevel. And then I will paste. So I want to make it faster. Paste and Control 1. Pretty sure my only real concern would be, well, actually, I can actually see what I have. Mesh. I'm going to do this really quick. Make sure I have that. More than 4 sides. Lambda and on manifold. Hit cleanup. And of course, pretty sure. Oh. Frontier. Well, let us first. Object. I'm going to put a cut down the center here. I'm going to grab this line and symmetry with topology. Oh. Not. Right. Fine. I did symmetry object Y. Does that? Oh, world Y. No, object Y. Edges. Of course not. All right. Fine. But that's fine. to undo my bevel anyway because it looks like I didn't divide it enough. Why? There we go. So there we are. So now that I've divided it up some more, at least now know where all the problematic pieces will be. I can now go back to bevel, object, bevel, turn off the chamfer. I'm gonna just, yeah, there we go. And actually, what am I doing? I should still have the thing copied. Paste the attributes and see that I need to, in here, add in a couple extra edges. So that way I won't get any weird artifacts with my high poly. Right. I'll have to do the same up here. In fact, if I hit this, I can hit F, and then I can add in very nice, easy cut, right like that. Hit Q, hit F, Control Shift X. Hotkeys are nice and easy. I'm just fixing up some of the more problematic pieces. In fact, if I go to object mode, we run this, it should have the same settings. Yeah, so I just have to worry about here. In fact, if I make this bigger really quick, I can go faces. There we go. Instead of zooming out though, F. Oh. There we go. Right. Shuffle down there. Right, and then you guys now should. Oh. Don't know why that one did that, but I might have accidentally left that on. Let's see here, target weld. Yeah. Really quickly. Add a cut down the center. And then just fix up these corners really quick. There we go. Let's see here. I see. So this was another. There. And I can just quickly fix this edge there, just tidying up my awkward geometry, right? And then, oh, Alright, so I just need to finish fixing this weird n-gon here. Oops. Just like that. And if I hit 3, that looks a lot better. If I go to object mode, mesh and clean up. Oh, happened here. Oh. Object G to repeat the last move. Oh. Object G. Oh. I. Don't happen here, but G. Let's see. Do a quick merge. And just be careful if you're using merge. Oh no, 2 I. Delete that. Object G. Mesh. I'm going to do quickly clean up again. This is a little more annoying, but I don't know why I cut that, but click and drag here. Must have been when I was taking out those weird bevels. But overall, not that bad to fix up. Here as well. Object mode, quickly. Run it. There we go. That was ideally what I was looking for. This guy here. I'm just going to use bevel with, hopefully I still have those attributes pastable. Let's see. Yeah. Object. And then if I were to do mesh, play, perfect. Do the same here. And select all this stuff minus my floater. I'm going to delete its history really quick. I'm going to do a quick check. Oh. Oh, this sucks. Oh. Text edge. But this guy should be I see what happened here. Vertexes, I'm going to detach pieces. Ugh, come on. So annoying. I see. So if I control backspace that, oh, this ain't gonna work very well. All right. Well, I'm gonna undo really quick. But as long as it's still smooth, all right, that's fine. But is that what I want? No. Fine. Did it this way. I grow this and then holding shift. Let's see. This isn't. If I grow the selection there, just paint really quickly. There. Let's see. Extract faces. Yeah, I don't care. Then, if I were to delete the history really quick, grab this, I can then recombine them, delete the history, rename it back to its piece, and I'll put that back here. And then that looks like it's smoothed properly this time. Be careful if you're welding things. They will, or merging things. There we go. And that just brings me back to this guy really quick. Yeah, that's fine. Let's see here. Mesh cleanup. So I wasn't paying attention, but I do have to fix my bevels here. Make sure you right click. Oh, this is going to be annoying. But with this, I'm not going to keep recording this, but ultimately, right, I'm going to finish cleaning this thing up, and then we will continue from there. All right, so now that I've cleaned up my model, I'm also going to, on my high poly only, grab all the geometry and assign myself a new Lambert. This is going to be, I'm just going to call this m_red for like ID and make it red. Now, if I had screws in that, I could also make it so that it had a different color or so forth, right? And then I'll just apply this back here, right? So this here is going to work as like an ID map. If I wanted to have different materials for different things, right? That would be for like an ID map to choose masks inside Substance Painter. So to wrap this thing up, though, I am going to go back to my channel layer box, turn on the visibility of my low. Now, double checking that things still look decent, right? And that we didn't move back too far out. Yeah, so all right, that's ideally what I'm kind of looking for right there. See how it's all Z fighting. I am going to actually come along here and grab my high poly, right? I am going to give it a smooth mesh, and then we will grab the Mech, delete its history, and then just grab everything. In fact, I'm just going to make sure that we've got that there. Delete and freeze its transforms. That way everything's sitting where it should be. Check out our quick UV map, making sure that anything that is duplicated that we don't want to bake is on the side over here outside of the 0 to 1 space, since that's where all the stuff for Substance Painter is going to work. You'd also make sure that you have the different materials applied based on the texture set. So like if I check over here, you can see we've got body 2K, I've got legs 2K, and then if we were to here, I feel like for some reason not everything has all of its stuff deleted. Try that again. There we go. M gun, or the M guns 1K as well, right? So from here, right, what I'm going to do is go File, Export Selection, and inside my Maya project, we are going to call this the Mech _ low. Make sure caps lock off, or SM _ Mech low, and then I am going to minimize this thing and select the high, File, Export Selection. I'm going to grab this really quick, but I am going to change this to high. And there we are. So now that I've exported those two things out, I am going to quickly do a quick bake for you guys, and then we'll continue with the texturing. So I'm just going to go File, New, Select. I'm going to go back to my desktop, find my project, grab my low poly Mech, hit open. I'm going to start with 2K, and then obviously for anything that has that, make sure your auto wrap is off, otherwise your carefully laid out UVs will be meant for nothing. Then I am going to, you can select Unity HD render pipeline now, or we can do it on the export phase. So now that I've got my Mech inside here, we're going to quickly look at the texture set. So once again, the viewport, similar to Maya, Alt left click rotates around, middle mouse pans, right mouse click zooms in and out. If I were to quickly go to reset UI, you've got assets and things like that. Obviously these are my custom shelves down here that I've added, but we can look at that later. I like to click and drag them around just so that way I've got all that stuff there. Then I also like to grab my properties, drag them to the side here, so that way I have those there. Same thing applies for your 2D view. Alt left click for a quick refresher, right? So Alt middle mouse pans, Alt right class zooms, right? F1 is the 2D and 3D view. F2 is the 3D view. F4 is the 2D view. 2D view, and F4 toggles. I'm going to go back to F1. You got brush settings as long as you have the brush tool selected. All your other tools 1 through 5, 1, 2, 2 is the racer, 3 is the pen. 3 brings us to the projection, and 4 brings us to polygon selection. But the main thing before we get going, you can also see over here, because of the materials we applied, I've got body 2K, body 1K, and legs 2K, right? Before we get going into the actual texturing things, we are going to bake our mesh. So what I'm going to do is click on this file folder and select our high poly, right, and hit that. I'm going to apply diffusion, right, so that'll make sure that they also add a little bit of spread outside for things as well. By the looks of it, I could have divided up a few other lines inside there. I'll have to pay attention to our bake, but I am going to need to increase my frontal max for the floaters. I am going to decrease my rear since I do have some stuff extruding inwards as well, right, for like the around the round area, so that way it'll work. I'm also going to add in some the sampling, so anti-aliasing sampling, right, crank that up, and I'm going to do 4K bake just because it'll give me better baked results, and then I can down res afterwards, right. Now, because we are using floaters, you are going to want to turn on in the ambient occlusion settings. So you would select the ambient occlusion, and you would say you want to, it's already set to never, but you want to set always. Then you also want to make sure that it is, we can hop to the different ones. You want to make sure it's done for all of them. Common and so forth, right? So ignore back faces. That way, for sure, you know for sure. Always gun 1. And let's see here. No, let's go to legs and then go back to the ambient occlusion. Always. Okay, so it looks like it already preset it. And if I hit bake selected, by the time we're done, hopefully. And we're going to have some nice UVs, especially if you actually cut them up a little more instead of trying to have them as one. Don't get me wrong, it's nice for optimization, but sometimes it will give you some artifacting. You want to make sure that you only have it on the edges or the gradation around areas that are actually using it. Looks like I have to add a little more depth because it looks like we're not getting any of the information in here when I did my smooth by looks of it. I should have did a lower quality bake first to test, but let's see here. I'm going to hit cancel and then go back up to common. I'm going to increase my distance. It's not I don't want to decrease it, and then I'm just going to do a quick 512 really quick to see that it actually gets everything. And I quickly come over here. Yeah, that's fine. I got an error because I was doing that, but that actually looks pretty good for a low bake. You also don't see weird shadows around the floatings objects because of the ambient occlusion since we turned it off. But I'm going to rebake at 4K and then the next time we come back we'll be texturing our model. So